Open your bar tab, step up on the approach, and welcome to the very first episode of Crossing the Foul Line, the only bowling podcast that lives somewhere between League Night legends and last call confessions. This isn't your country club bowling show. This is League Night. This is missed spares. This is Brooklyn strikes you absolutely meant to throw. And tonight, we're starting strong. We've got a bowler who didn't just show up, he earned it. Back when equipment didn't bail you out. When oil patterns were a rumor, and house shots were laid down with a squirt bottle and a squeegee. An accomplished competitor, a tournament grinder, a guy who's seen the sport evolve. We're talking old school through new school. Rubber balls to performance cores, respect on the lanes, and whether today's 230 average actually means what it used to. If you've ever blamed the lanes, accused someone of sandbagging, or stared down a 10-pin like it personally offended you, you're in the right place. This is where we talk bowling the way it actually happens, behind the approaches, between frames, and maybe after you've downed a couple of cold ones. So lace up those bowling shoes, wipe the oil off your pride, and let's cross the foul line. Welcome to episode 1.
Hey, this is Jonathan Cornwell from Vigo Bowl, and you're listening to Crossing the Foul Line with Joe Jeffries. Who the hell let this guy in here?
Well, bowlers, we appreciate you tuning in. A little bit about the podcast. We're going to do tournament news, league news, individual bowler news, highlight some bowlers in the area. Eventually, we'll probably have more hosts, maybe some guest hosts. As we get more equipment, as we get more interest, we'll be able to set those up and do those things. I'm not sure if we'll ever go video, but we may. You never know. Depends on the interest and if you want to see that or not. As Jonathan Cornwell and I were talking about the other day, both of us have a face for radio, so I don't know if video's in our future or not. I've talked to a couple people about maybe setting up at some tournaments, do some interviews. I don't know if we're going to broadcast the whole time, maybe just do some highlight from the tournament and get some interviews from the winners or maybe high game people or whatever happens. A little bit of upcoming tournaments. March Madness in Mount Vernon, Illinois starts March 22nd, or is March 22nd. Joe Labatt runs that one. It's always a good time. If you've never been to that, I highly suggest that one. Here in Terre Haute at Imperial Lanes, March Madness Shootout March 15th by dxbproshop.com. You can go there and sign up, they say. 4 games of qualifying, cut to 16. No urethane. $50 to enter that one. Don't forget about March 22nd, the Chili Doubles run by Adam Smith. That's a great tournament as well. It's sold out. You may be able to get somebody that just can't make it. Maybe you can take their spot or something. But yeah, if you get a chance to do it, that's a great tournament. And of course, 2026 Indiana Senior State. Scott Johnson looking for some people to go on April 3rd. All-Star Trio is running through March 29th. At All-Star Bowl. Indiana State Open Championships going on at Vigo and Terre Haute Bowling Center through April 26th. If you've not bowled in the Open Championships, they've needed quite a few subs, so it could be an opportunity to bowl on the team or meet some people you've never seen before. Rose Bowl Summer Shootout starts June 20th, runs through July 26th. Always a good time. It's Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday for squad times. 5-man teams, $200 a team. Monty Ankrum usually runs that up. He does a heck of a job. He'll be in town, actually, bowling the Indiana State Championships. Couple 300s to mention. Ray Woodmancy. Nice job, man. It was good to see him roll a 300. Ryan Nichols and Garrison Talladay also had a couple 300s. Richie Rich with 805. I saw that on Terre Haute Bowling. It's good to see him shoot 805. There may have been a couple more, but I didn't see him on there. So if anybody wants to give a shout out to somebody rolling a 300 or 800, just give us a message. Now let's move on to our interview. Everybody's going to love this one. It was definitely fun doing it, and I know he had fun too. This week's guest on Crossing the Foul Line is the one, the only, the legend, JohnnyMac. Welcome, JohnnyMac. How you doing, buddy?
Thank you, Joe. Good.
We got a lot of questions that we want to go over, but man, you've been pretty good. You're still bowling, and life is great, right?
Yes, it is.
So I'm going to start with a question that was submitted by a fan. And he said it was okay to say his name. George Minor wanted to know, when are you going to cut your hair?
As soon as I shoot another ring game.
There you go. Perfect answer right there. If you don't know JohnnyMac, you're not from Terre Haute, because every bowler in the state knows JohnnyMac, I'm pretty sure, and probably some from out of state. He's been bowling for a long, long time. He's been a staple in the bowling community, and is just a great guy to be around. So, in your opinion, is bowling more mental or mechanical?
Well, it both play a big part. You got to be in the right frame of mind, plus the fact it helps if you're somewhat physically fit to where you can get down at the line and stay underneath the ball to create some leverage to get some good rotation on the ball. So, like I say, I think I myself I'd say it's a 50-50 thing there. You got to be mentally prepared, and you got to have a physical game.
That's very true. You don't have to be perfectly physically fit. I mean, I'm a case of that, but
Me too.
but yeah, I agree with you. It's a lot of mental, especially when you're bowling bad. You have to get over it and move on.
Yeah,
it's tough to do, and some of us aren't real good about doing it sometimes. But yeah, you have to just move on. The mechanical part of it can be taught and taught and taught, but you're going to find your own mechanics, and you have to build upon that. That's what I believe anyway. So through the years, you've seen a lot of changes. Oh, by the way, if you hear a lot of noise in the background, we're at Vigo Bowl. Jonathan has graciously enough let us do the interview here. We'll probably do a lot here, if I'm going to guess. But yeah, we're at Vigo Bowl, and they're getting ready to start the second squad for the state tournament. So it might get a little noisy in here. You've seen a lot of changes. What's your opinion on string pins?
I personally haven't bowled on string pins yet. From what I've seen on TV, I think, and what E.J. Tackett has said about string pins, is that you have to have a direct, perfect angle into the pocket to carry. That's why he installed them in his bowling alley up at Bluffton, Indiana, because that's where he does the biggest part of his practice, and he says it makes him more accurate. If you watched E.J. Tackett bowl lately, he's pretty accurate. But I myself think that where the only problem I see is you're not going to get a messenger like you get. I watched the one-handers versus the two-handers, the pro bowlers, on string pins. It seemed to me the two-handers were at a definite disadvantage because they allow, or their big thing is the revs on the ball, the speed, and scattering the pins off the sideboards, sending messengers to take out other pins.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They are at a disadvantage on string pins. But like I say, I myself, I would like to go. One of these days I'm going to have to drive down to Vincennes or run over to Paris, Illinois, and bowl a few games on the string pins so I can have an honest opinion of whether I think they're a good idea. The only reason I think they're going to be a good idea is because of the low maintenance cost to the bowling proprietor.
Yeah. There you go.
On behalf of the officers.
Getting ready to start. I'm going to stop this for a second.
Hey, this is JohnnyMac, and we're here today crossing the foul line with Joe Jeffries.
All right, so now that Charles Rott is done interrupting us, and I actually hit record this time, we're going to go through this again. So string pins, like we talked about a minute ago, they're great for the houses, and like you said, the bowlers are going to have to adjust a little bit, but it's still going to be scoreable anyway.
Right.
For the houses, the maintenance on them is few and far between. The electricity bill is going to go down, and the quality of person they have to put in the back, they're going to have to go to school to learn how to run some of these pin setters because some of them can get pretty complicated. They've got timing, and you got to repair them, and things break, and I mean, it's just especially in an old house like this, Vigo Bowl, they've been back there a long time.
Not only that, but they don't make the new parts for these A2 Brunswick pin setters anymore.
Yeah, that's a big one too. So what accomplishment are you most proud of? We went through this once already, and I've got to do it again.
Well, of course, all the ring games that I've shot over my 60-plus years of bowling are great to look back on, and but I've got, I don't know, all the friends I've made. I mean, bowling has been really good to me over the years. But I think like I say, my biggest accomplishment is the ring games that I shot. And I never forget one year, Jim Decker and myself were bowling in a 700 club doubles tournament at Imperial. And we made it to the championship game, and we had to bowl Brian Taylor and Ryan Nichols.
Oh, nice.
And we beat them.
Yeah, that's nice.
So that probably is one of my biggest and proudest moments. Was
two of the top bowlers in this area for sure.
Yes, and they were real young kids at that time. And me and Decker, of course, at that time were probably mid-50 range, and they were in their early 20s. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun that day.
Oh, yeah, heck yeah. You said you had 48 300s and how many 800s?
18.
18, wow.
Yes.
That's crazy. You said you wish you had 2 more 300s before your days are done, right?
Right.
That'd be nice. So if you see Johnny Mac and he's got a string going, root him on because he's trying to get to 50. So through your eyes, through the years, let us know what changes you've seen. You've seen a lot of them, I'm sure.
Well, I can remember when I first started bowling league at Bel Air Bowl back in 1967. I had a hard rubber ball, and I rented a pair of shoes when I'd go to bowl league, and nobody hooked the ball coast to coast like they do anymore.
Yeah.
You just kind of point it off the corner toward the head pin, and hope you hit the pocket. But then they come out with the short oil and the urethane balls and the plastic balls. The old Columbia bleeder yellow dot was a good example of that. And then, of course, they started coming out with the reactive resin and all these cosmic weight blocks in the balls anymore. Now, I feel that I'm at a disadvantage because I don't have the ball speed that I used to have.
Bluetooth disconnected.
And I think in order to really be competitive, you need to at least have about 15.5 mile an hour ball speed, at least 350 to 400 revs on the ball.
All right, now that we got Charles out of our ear again, let's carry on.
Okay, so like I say, it's all about ball speed and revolutions on the ball anymore is the name of the game.
Yeah.
The old adage when we used to be I consider myself a stroker. I don't have a lot of revs. When they had the short oil and urethane balls, and I could play out around the 5 board. By the way, Dave Paulin was probably one of the best in this area at playing that shot.
Yeah.
I mean, he used to throw an old pink hammer, and he was deadly.
Yeah. Yeah, Dave was pretty deadly. When he was on, That's for sure.
Like I say, it has definitely evolved a lot in the 60-some years that I've been bowling.
I have no doubt. I know it's changed a lot since I was bowling. Mark Lewis, a long time ago, when I was late teenager, trying to teach me some things. Back then it was square your shoulders, have the ball by your side, and now it's you're going to lean to one side and step out of the way of the ball when you throw it and open yourself up. And it's like, we didn't know all that stuff back then. It was just throw the ball and try to get it to the pocket anyway.
Well, one good thing over my bowling career is that I have surrounded myself with some really good bowlers, and they have been very helpful in my game.
Yeah.
I mean, I've asked for advice, I've listened, I've tried to put into play what they've tried to tell me. For example, Dave Renshaw, John Delisle, Dave Eskew from over in Effingham, Illinois, Harley Jones, Guy Johnson, Bill Chance. At one time, Bill Chance had me convinced I was really good. For a couple of years, me and him were about every other weekend we were out bowling a PBA regional. And after a couple of years only cashing in 4 of those, I thought, boy, these guys are good. Maybe I hadn't ought to be doing this because it's not making me any money.
Yeah. I've been to a couple of those tournaments, and they weren't regionals, that's for sure. You look around, it's like 250, 279. I'm shooting 2-0 something, and this is not good.
Yeah.
I've been to a couple of those tournaments. What is your biggest pet peeve in bowling that other bowlers do?
I don't know. I try not to pay that much attention to the other bowlers. I try to concentrate basically on my lane, what's going on with me and the lane that I'm on. In fact, my grandson, who's 32 years old now, but when he was a young kid, about 10 or 11 years old in junior league, I used to pay for his bowling, and I'd have him bowl with me, and I'd have him go at the same time I did, so I could learn to concentrate basically on my lane.
Yeah, to shut out your surroundings.
And I shut out everything around me. So a lot of people, they want to give 2-lane courtesy, or I'm very conscious about somebody on the lane on either side of me.
Yeah.
But that's all I worry about. I mean, we're not playing for $10,000 in a league or $100,000, So if you want to wait for 2 lanes, that's your prerogative. But to me, it takes a little more time. The tournaments, some of them that I bowled in St. Louis, it was kind of mandatory. It's mandatory if you're bowling a PBA regional. In fact, one time when I was just starting to bowl PBA regionals, I had a really good game going, and I was crossing with Dale Traber. And a lot of people didn't like him because he was kind of controversial. He'd get on you a lot sometimes if you wasn't being right. But in between games, we were going to another set of lanes, and he said, John, I didn't want to say anything during that last game because you were bowling too well. But he said, you got to remember, you got to give room on the right, room on the left, even on your spare shot.
Oh, really?
He said you were doing good on the first shot, but you weren't waiting on the second shot. And he said a couple of people stopped and was looking at you.
Yeah.
And he said, before you get in an altercation or you get fined, I just wanted to make you aware of that. And I thanked him very much for that,
Oh, yeah.
But that, league bowling, like I say, I try not to get too upset over anything other than myself. Like I say, I try to pay attention what's happening on my lane.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of new people come in the past year or two, and they don't know a lot of the rules, and people get upset or whatever, and it's like, well, just let them know what the rules are.
Yeah. Just a little simple reminder about 1-lane courtesy, at least,
Yeah. Yeah, when people come in open bowl, I mean, there's no rules. You just throw the ball down there. No, I usually don't say anything, to people like that. But in between shots, he would stand on the lane and wait for his ball on the approach.
Yeah.
Well, all of us that bowl leagues, we don't do that. You step off the approach. That's the next guy's lane.
Yeah.
If there's somebody on the approach beside you, that's his approach. You stay off of it. But he didn't know that. So I said, hey, look, this is kind of an unspoken rule. And, I didn't know. It's okay. It's just one of those things that you've got to learn, He said, well, I just started this year. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's just somebody needs to let you know that, hey, you might want to step all the way off before you get going there. But I try to do the same thing. I try to block a lot of things out, but some stuff you just can't. So what does the sport need to do to survive, other than string pins, I guess?
Well, the junior program, the bowling proprietors need to promote the junior programs a lot more. The high schools need to get the bowling as, I guess it would be the Indiana High School Athletic Association. I don't know if they're involved in the bowling yet or not, but that's the future of the sport, is the young people coming up. So you got to get them interested in an early age. get them hooked.
Oh yeah.
So they'll move on to league bowling.
Yeah. With the two-handed stuff coming up and more PBA stuff on the TV, I think there is an interest from youth bowlers, especially when they can earn money to go to college. I mean, they get their smart fund and they can earn money towards college, and that's a great program for a kid that just wants to bowl and have fun and then use it down the road.
Well, David Hayes in Terre Haute is a prime example of that. I mean, he went to probably the premier college for college bowling, which Wichita State, and they won the national championship, I think, a couple years while he was out there on the team and that. Yeah, junior bowling done him real well.
Yeah, and got the bowl on TV.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, a lot of people tuned in for that one, and I know his grandparents were pretty psyched up about it, and I know his dad was.
Yeah.
They were pretty fired up about it. So when you first started and you were starting to get better and better and better, who's the one person that you thought, if I beat him, I know I've done something. I know I've made it.
Back in them days, I always wanted to beat Brian Barton.
Brian Barton, okay.
Harley Jones.
Yeah.
Guy Johnson.
Yeah.
If I could beat those guys, or if I started out, if I could beat them a game, I felt good.
Yeah.
Then I think, well, okay, now let's work on beating them on a series. And then, like I say, with the help of a lot of the good bowlers, that I started really getting better. Then I started branching out, bowling. Used to be a tournament called the Old Timers Bowling Tour that a guy out of Princeton used to run, and I met a couple of guys from Evansville, Dick Doobie and Bernie Carlisle. And Bernie Carlisle used to shoot out on the PBA 50 tour all the time. So when I got to bowling against those guys, I got to thinking, okay, now I've got to step my game up to where I can win some money beating these guys.
Yeah.
And I got to where I got pretty good. And in fact, one time, after I think it was like the third or fourth straight Old Timers Bowling Tour that I won, Joe Labatt, his dad, used to run the tournaments for Bud Turf. Anyway, he come up to me and he said, these guys are going to be getting really mad at you because you winning all the bracket money and you're winning the tournament, and they're not making any money.
Yeah.
So he said, I'd be careful going to my car. Was joking around about it.
Yeah.
But like I say, here in Terre Haute, it was always Brian Barton, Harley Jones, Guy Johnson, Dave Renshaw. Those guys were.
Oh yeah.
They were my idols.
Most definitely. When you've thrown your last ball, what do you want fellow bowlers to remember about you?
That I gave it 100% every time I was on the lane.
Well, there's no doubt about that.
I may get irritated at myself because my ability to duplicate shots is not what it used to be, and I get kind of frustrated at myself, but at least I feel that I've given, every time I get up on the approach, I'm giving it 100%. I'm wanting to throw a strike.
Yeah.
That's my intent. When I let go of the ball, is for it to be a strike.
Yeah, that's a good mindset to have. Speaking of mindset, if you're bowling a tournament in 6 games, after game 2 you're not doing so good, what would you do to change your mind into I gotta bowl better?
Well, start thinking, okay, you're watching the ball go down the lane. What is it doing? Yeah. Do I need to make an adjustment, or do I need to go back to the bag and get a different ball out and try a different line?
Yeah.
I've had a lot of those experiences.
And sometimes I just need to see a different ball go down the lane just to freshen my mind up.
Yeah. Well, that, and unfortunately, here recently, I went to the bag, got a different ball, and it didn't work any better, But I've had some frustrating tournaments of late where I've had 6 bowling balls with me, and I went through all of them, and it still wasn't working right.
Well,
But that's mechanics.
yeah, well, yeah. I've been bad about, I need to make this change, but 4 frames later, I haven't done it yet, and I'm still struggling.
Yeah.
That's why I tell all my teammates, and it's been a running joke for a few years, but if you're thinking about it, just do it.
Right.
It's not going to hurt anything. It's 1 frame. If it doesn't work, go back to what you were doing or try something else. But if you're thinking about it, just do it, not struggle for 4 or 5 frames and then, well, I should have done that. No, just do it.
Well,
There's plenty of game left.
I've got a funny story about a ball change like that.
Yeah.
Me and Bill Chance were bowling one of the regionals that many of them that we bowled. We were at Western Bowl. After the first 5-game block, I'm sitting 12th overall. So I called my wife and I said, hey, get over here in Indy. I said, I'm bowling better than I've ever bowled in my life. So Bill was on A squad, I was on B squad. Okay. So he was dragging my stuff, I was dragging his stuff. So he's watching me and we start out the second set and he's telling me, John, put that ball up. Well, I really didn't have a lot of confidence in my bowling at that time.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's me.
All right.
So I struggled through this game, end up shooting like a 149 or something. We're going to the next lane, and Bill grabs me by the shoulder, and he spins me around, and he said, John, put that effing ball up. So I did, got another ball out, and I start shooting back in the 220s again.
Nice.
But I took myself out of making match play for Sunday. I mean, I cashed, but, but it's a standing joke now. If Bill Chance is in the house and he tells me to change a ball, I don't question anything.
Just
I go change the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I told them guys 3 or 4 years ago that I started doing that. If you're thinking about it, just do it.
Yes.
It's not going to hurt anything.
No.
You leave a big split. Oh, well, you could have done that with the other ball, too.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's it. Just do it. So, one final question. What is your I'll never forget that night story?
Okay, it happened in this bowling alley about 6 years ago. We were bowling in the senior league in here. We were on lanes 31 and 32, and we had a hard break. Okay, I've got the front 6.
Yeah.
They got to move us. I mean, when Todd James was running this place, you never had a hard break.
Yeah.
But we did that day. So they move us down to 13 and 14. No practice, nothing. Turn the lanes on, move the scores down, and I ended up throwing the next 6
Oh, nice.
on that lane. So I ended up shooting 300 on 2 different sets of lanes. And that, to me, was probably one of the most memorable things that ever happened.
Yeah, I think it was 3 years ago in one season, our Friday night team, we had 2 13-strike 300s going against us. I think Paco did it one night, and I think Troy Williams did it one night. Yeah, they bowled on the wrong lane for one of them and had to do it all over again, so they threw 13 strikes for their 300 against us. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Well, Johnny Mac, I appreciate you being on, buddy. Probably not going to be the last time we see you. Probably have you on again sometime. But, yeah, it's been great. And you were the one person that popped in my mind. If I'm going to do a first interview, it's going to be Johnny Mac. That's all there is to it.
Well, I certainly appreciate it, Joe. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's good. You can hear Johnny Mac Wednesday. We drop the episode at 7:10 a.m. Of course, I'll probably hit that a few more times. But, yeah, it's been great listening to Johnny Mac and hearing all those stories.
Well, bowlers, that's going to do it for episode 1. Huge thanks to Johnny Mac, who, as you heard, is a bowler who's seen the game evolve, survive, and still throw strikes when it matters. If you learned something tonight, good. If you got inspired tonight, even better. Because bowling isn't just frames and averages. It's pride. It's rivalries. It's that one guy who takes way too long on the approach. And it's stories that deserve to be told. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you follow us on Facebook or subscribe on YouTube. Send this to the biggest sandbagger in your league. We'll be back next week with more League Night Legends, more bowling truth, and maybe a few lines we probably shouldn't cross. Until then, don't forget to pay your bar tab.